Welcome back, folks. Behind the Badge here at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office is a podcast where we share the people that work for us and people that support us and the mission of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office in Rochester, New York. My Deputy Tisdale is the co-host. Always good to have you back, Tiz.
Hey, thanks for having me, sir. And like I said, this is a momentous occasion. It's got to be. This doesn't happen, but, well, you said I was here the last.
You were here the last Eclipse, right? No? Or the Bills won the Super Bowl. Which one was
right.
Oh, neither. Okay, good. Neither. So we never experienced this, but we're preparing the heck out of it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Everybody knows that an eclipse coming if you're from Monroe County, but these glasses are all over the place and the talk of the town. But I don't know if you know, we've been working on this for over a year, planning over a year on this thing, and to make sure we got our ducks in the right order and people are safe and response times are still accounted for. And the man that's been in charge is Lieutenant Andrew Soike. How you doing?
Good, sir. How are you?
Good to have you.
Nice to be here.
So, yeah, I kind of did your intro for you on this whole event. You've been the man going to all the meetings for a long, long time, doing all the preparatory work with other law enforcement, the museum and science center, all the local people that are involved in this thing. So that's what we want to talk about. But first, a little bit about yourself. Why don't you tell us?
I've been here for 18 years. I spent most of the first part of my career on A-Zone nights doing just regular patrol work. I was promoted to sergeant in 2017. Did time with B-Zone 1st Platoon, A-Zone 2nd Platoon, the CIS Admin Sergeant rollout in A-Zone. That was a great time. And then promoted a couple years ago to lieutenant and spent some time up in internal affairs.
Yeah, you did.
Before transitioning down to special operations last year, right before the PGA.
Yeah, and that was a kind of a similar event, but it went on for a whole week. It was like a Super Bowl for a week, and the best golfers in the world were here, and people came from all over the world. So it was great having that here in Rochester, New York. So we did a lot of preparatory work for that, the security, the traffic control plans, the working with the other first responders, EMTs, firefighters, all those good things. So this event, this is, as Tiz and I were joking in the beginning, I mean, this is a once-in-a-lifetime event occurring, and the epicenter is Rochester, New York.
Correct.
That's pretty amazing. And we're familiar with that. But so from a standpoint of you and all this preparatory work, what is, if you threw out one major concern, we'll talk about a lot of things that are going to get done. What's your major concern? What's your biggest problem you're dealing with?
So in all the research that we did, the last time this came to the United States was 2017. And looking at all the after-action reports for the various states, their emergency managers, the biggest concern is traffic.
Really? Yeah.
Traffic after it's over. So you get a large number of people traveling into that path of totality in the days and hours leading into the event.
Right.
But 90% of those people left within 15 minutes of that
ain't
peak
happening.
darkness.
You ain't going anywhere.
So what it does is it leads to a lot of traffic congestion immediately, and in some areas that lasted for 6 to 12 hours. So that's our number one concern is traffic congestion, and then how do we as first responders, maintain the continuity of emergency services, respond to 911 calls, and work through all that.
So let's just put it on the table. If we can ask for anything from the public, my number one ask as sheriff is get there early, have a great time, and plan on sticking around for a couple hours. Plan an event afterwards. Do something social there, or whatever it looks like. Let the traffic dissipate. There's only so many square miles of road. There's going to be a lot more cars that meet those mileage. So there's nowhere you're going anywhere quick, and you got to maintain the thoroughfares for us, emergency responders. So.
Yes, potentially there could be a lot of widespread traffic congestion immediately. We are somewhat reliant on the thruway and 390 South to take people out of the area from where they came in. And stay at the event until it ends, enjoy it, and then just be patient. Be prepared that your commute time from, say, Brockport to Webster isn't going to be the 25 minutes that it normally is. It might take you closer to an hour. It's no different than, getting home from a Bills game, leaving the PGA Championship last year. When you put that many cars on the road at the same time, it just takes time to kind of sort that out.
There's only so many. And we'll run lights, and we'll have traffic control, and you've already been studying all this, obviously, other events, and you've been studying it with our traffic engineering folks and working with the state police. But keep in mind, public, there's only so much space for all these cars, and and you can push them as fast as you want, but there's only so many lanes of traffic on 390 and the thruway, and that's where all the people are going to go into. So hunker down, enjoy it, make a social event out of it, and let it dissipate, and don't get caught up in it, and all the road rage and everything and anger. Just plan for it. Plan for it.
And it's a region-wide event too, which is different than the Bills game or the PGA. That's it's local, isolated to one spot in one area. This is all of Monroe County, Wayne County, all the surrounding counties, everywhere from Erie, PA at the state line up through Plattsburgh.
Wow.
So it's the entire length of the thruway up to Syracuse. So there's a region-wide traffic problem that could hit at a similar time. So it's just like you said, it's going to take time to sort that out, and just plan on having gas in your car, whatever you need to sustain yourself for a little bit, and just prepare on a longer commute that day, especially after 3:30 in the afternoon.
Good advice.
Now we know what to do for people that are that live here. In the area, and I love that information that you just gave out. But what about people that are listening to this podcast, watching this podcast, that are from somewhere else coming into this area? What words of wisdom do you have to these guys coming in this congested area?
Okay. First off, I would say if you're arriving over the weekend, have a place to stay. Our local parks, the county parks, aren't going to allow camping. Many of the places that are, big parking lots, Wegmans, they're not going to want you to spend the night there in your RV. So if you're coming, have a place to stay if you're planning on coming over the weekend. Get your car gassed up prior to the eclipse starting, which is around 2 p.m. is when it officially starts. So keep your car gassed. If you have an electric car, keep it charged. And then just be prepared for whatever amount of time it took you to get into Rochester. It's probably going to take you about double that to get home once all that traffic congestion sorts itself out. My mom's neighbor went down to Tennessee to watch it in 2017, and his normal 3-hour drive to get where he was going took him almost 7.
Whoa.
So it's one of those things. It's your commute will be longer. So just be patient and be prepared for that contingency. Keep your car gassed up. Just all the basics that we have, and we go on an extended road trip.
So we have planning meetings been going on, like I said, for over a year. I remember the first one. I had a Spot Coffee, a lady from the museum and science center, we got together, but then we delegate to the fine lieutenant and make this happen. So you go to these meetings. Who attends these? Besides just law enforcement, who attends these meetings, and what are some of the discussion points? Trying to share with the public the breadth of the preparatory work going into this thing, besides just law enforcement.
Sure, Fire Bureau.
Yep.
So we work closely with the Fire Bureau to put out rescue task forces. So if in the event of some sort of critical incident involving active violence, we have those deputies and those firefighters pre-staged. We're going to use them in a medical role as well. Right. We work with our EMS community. How are we coordinating amongst police, law enforcement, and fire to handle any sort of emergency that might pop up, given the traffic congestion? How do we get there? How do we keep our services going? Right. We've coordinated with the Coast Guard and the state police, many of the volunteer fire departments that have a presence up on the lake. We know people are going to go, fishing charters are taking reservations. They're going to be out on the lake. We know there might be some amateur boaters that are going to go on the lake because it's dark.
Right.
And it'd be a great place to view the eclipse. So coordinating with them to make sure that we have enough resources up there to handle any emergency, because the lake in April is unpredictable. The water is going to be 38 degrees, so we want to have that contingency in place.
Not a lot of room for air up on the lake right now.
Yep. Coordinating our efforts for traffic control, just what we're doing from an overall traffic plan with the New York State and Monroe County DOT. Working with, we've reached out to Massasauga Search and Rescue.
Yeah,
people are going to be going into rural areas, and if they get lost or disoriented in the dark or the almost dark.
His eyes crossing his T's. I like him.
Yeah, so we've basically sat down as a group and thought through what are the contingencies that could happen, and working through and trying to figure out a way to address every single one of them.
Yeah, the rescue task force is an example. We've done stories on it, but that's firefighters and that are critical care folks, if you will, and police officers grouped together, right, and able to respond to a problem together and help solve or stabilize that problem together. Mm-hmm. And so having those dispersed throughout the county,
correct,
to avoid the traffic congestion and response times. And in the Marine unit, that's something that we're going to have all our boats out on the water, which is very unusual for that time of year.
Yeah, we're going to have our 2 boats out.
Yeah.
The Coast Guard will have a boat out. Lakeshore Fire Department, West Webster, DEC.
City Fire?
City Fire will be on the river.
Okay.
RPD will have a presence on the river.
Good.
And so, we basically split the entire shoreline for the county up into different sectors, and each sector will have a boat out there ready to assist from around noon until 1800.
Good.
Well, like you said, this is a big thing for us, being right in the line of this whole thing happening, coming to this Rochester area and being like a peak point for, unbelievably, you know what I mean, for this to happen.
No, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the thing about it is, the thing that the safety, you got any safety type tips for anybody going out there watching this thing? And what's the actual time limit of the actual eclipse?
Yeah, good question.
So it's going to start getting dark around 2:06 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be completely light again. I think it officially ends right around 4:30. But from 3:20 to about 3:24 is when you'll have that peak darkness. From what I understand, it's like a deep dusk. And
Right.
so during that time period, you don't want to ever look at the sun. That's why you have the fancy eclipse glasses.
Exactly.
And so if you're going to go outside and view the eclipse, make sure you have your glasses on. Prepare for what the weather's going to be that day, which in Rochester we know could be 30 and snowy, or it could be 75 and
You
sunny.
haven't predicted that part? What have you been doing there, Lieutenant? What's the weather conditions? What's the waves on the lake going to be?
Yeah.
No pressure.
Rough.
Rough.
Yeah. From historically, it looks like there's about a 50% chance of clear to mostly cloudy.
You'd make a good meteorologist. So
Yeah.
50% chance. Or a politician. You make a
go
good
wrong,
politician
right?
too, right? You're like, a little this, a little that.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. Honestly, the way I do it, plan for the worst, right?
Yep.
Plan you're going to be stuck in a blizzard with your car on 390 for a few hours, right?
Correct.
Who knows when the next storm or squalls are going to move in, and you get stuck up there, everybody's leaving, and there's a snow squall.
Yeah.
Just plan for that, right? Have
Yep.
food, have blankets, and everything else is a walk in the park. You're on the lake, plan for, the swales coming in or whatever you call those big waves, right? I mean, I'm not a boater, but
Rogue wave.
Yeah. It scares the heck out of me. I feel vulnerable in the water. So if you're an amateur, talk to the Coast Guard, talk to our Marine unit ahead of time, do the prior preparation, plan for the worst. The rest is a walk in the park.
That's what we've been doing. We're planning for the worst, which is that 300,000 to 500,000 number that Visit Rochester's put out. The estimates are all over the map, but we're planning for a large influx of people. So. That's why we're adding the additional patrol resources in every zone so that they can continue to answer those 911 calls, that they can address any eclipse-related impacts.
It's just good to watch, right? Little
Yeah.
Rock, going up through Little Rock. If you're in Conway, good spot. I haven't been in Conway in a long time, but
Carbondale, the town of Carbondale right there, they had it in 2017
Oh,
as
so
well.
they got it
And
twice, huh?
Yeah, they experienced significant traffic congestion. That town has come up in a couple of the after actions.
I
that
love
I've
the
read.
homework you've done on this thing. Looking at the after action is so key to learn what other people.
Yeah, there's
do,
no
right?
model for this. There's really no. There's no eclipse plan.
Right.
So you kind of have
no
to figure out, what are the impacts going to be here locally,
Right.
and how do we address them? And I think our plan has been put a lot of extra resources out on the road to handle everything and have a very flexible response. That could be traffic control. That could be focused on taking in 911 calls because it's taking us additional time to get there.
Right.
So, we have the additional resources out there, and we have a plan to monitor crowd sizes and kind of project out where our problem areas could be from traffic standpoint, from a crowd standpoint. And then once it's over at 3:30, start shifting those resources and just have a very flexible plan to handle whatever may come our way.
Wow.
And command posts all over the place, right? So we got sub-command posts at the zone offices.
Correct.
And
Yep.
we don't give away our tactical command posts for obvious reasons, for safety and security of those things. But, and then the head shed down here. if you
Yep,
will.
we're going to run a main command post, a headquarters command post, and then we'll have area command established each of our
Toxic
zones. Yep, and up at the lake as well.
One of the things that we didn't think about, and maybe you haven't got this deep into it, but the jail. We have contingency plans for the jail, and what do you do with the jail when the lights go off, right? And this will be a nighttime event for the jail, and that's something we got to plan around too, right? So people don't even think about, how do you maintain a hospital working, right? How do you maintain a jail working?
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't shut it down. I mean, there's no taking a day off.
Exactly. For the hospitals, we've been working with Strong West, been on their planning meetings, and they do 8 to 10 patient transfers a day.
Yeah.
Well, how do you do that patient transfer at 4:00 in the afternoon? With potential traffic.
Right.
Brockport's going to be one of the dead center, so they're going to have a lot of people out there, and they're expecting quite a bit of congestion. So, how do you modify those patient transfer times?
Right.
Do you have to look at a medevac versus using a rig? So, there's lots of different things for every agency, every institution around Monroe County is doing the same type of planning to figure out how do you have continuity of operations given what could happen after it's over.
Right. I like to look at this and I see the videos, the pictures, and a lot of people out there, they feel like, they don't know what goes into something like this. And like you said, the planning that went into it. It's amazing when you come down to the foundation of not just from just wearing these glasses to the fact of everything that goes around it. I mean, and it's amazing the way that you guys have set it up and the way that you're showing out here and these people online watching, they can sit there and say it's not just the glasses, what you guys think, it's the things that go behind it on the other side.
Yep. As with everything, there's way more work behind the scenes than most people see. It was the same with the PGA.
Sure.
The amount of planning, the amount of resources that we had there. There was the visible uniforms that they saw, but there's a lot of other things that were in place around it. And this will be the exact same way.
Yeah, and besides just one central location, now these resources you see and don't see have to be dispersed around the whole county.
Right.
Correct.
It's a pretty big operation.
It's a big footprint.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah. And another thing, the dedication of the sheriff's office. I'm going to brag a little bit about. When we dedicated a lieutenant. More than that, we got the jail. We got so many. But the deputies are going to 12-hour shifts. I mean, they're sacrificing. This is something they want to experience with their families. But they're gone to 12-hour shifts because they're servants, and they're going to be working the overlapping shifts and make sure we got enough resources out there to over all those contingencies you're planning for. We got bodies to do those things.
Going the 12-hour shifts that we can use 3rd Platoon on the detail, and then also modifying our shift change times so that we're not trying to bring people in during peak congestion.
Right,
so
which is normally one of our shift changes.
Yeah, so we don't take their half-hour commute and turn it into an hour and a half long hour commute.
Yeah.
So the deputies are definitely being flexible with us, and their dedication and flexibility and commitment is going to allow us to get through this.
And the safety and security of this thing. We want people in Monroe County that live here. They have just an awesome time. We want people to come visit and spend a lot of money, right?
Yep.
Buy hotel rooms and look at Rochester is a great place to visit in the future. And none of that's going to happen if you're not safe. And that's what we're going to make sure we're.
Absolutely. We want people to go to all these events. We want them to enjoy them. We just want to set the expectation that when it's over, it's probably going to take you a little bit of extra time to get home. But if you're patient, you'll get there. And, it's definitely something you should go out and experience because it's not coming back here for another 120 years.
So. Tiz, you're going to miss that one too.
Nah, I could take it.
Anything as we wrap up, anything you want to share with the public? You got a chance to get the word out. I know you've been doing a lot of media. You've been doing a lot of interviews. Here's one more avenue to get the word out to the people. What would that be, LT?
I'm just going to stick to our basic message. Be safe when you're doing it. Make sure you wear your Eclipse glasses. Go out, have fun, enjoy the community. There's a ton of great events around the community.
Right.
I wish I could experience some of them.
I know.
I'll
We're
be
missing
down
out.
here. But go experience the events. Don't let the traffic scare you off. It's just going to take you a little bit of extra time. So go there, stay until the end of the event, and just be patient when it's over, and take that little bit of extra time to go home, because this is literally a once in a lifetime thing for Rochester.
Awesome.
It's not even coming back to the United States for another 25 years or something like that. So it's most of us will not be able to experience this again. So let's hope we have clear skies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for all the work you're doing. I hope people appreciate, again, behind the badge, what's going on behind the badge, and years worth of work going into this preparatory, and the flexibility, the prior study of other events. This is what everything a sheriff can ask for being done for our mission. That's safety and security of this event. So thanks for everything you're doing, LT. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Till next week, folks. Be safe.